Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Seth, can you go ahead?
Yes. This is Seth Morton, moderator. I'm going to call this meeting to order. This is a meeting of the representative town meeting of the town of Darien. First item on the agenda is acceptance of the agenda. And without objection, I'd like to add an item, appointment to the Blight Review Board. If there's no objection to that, I'll go ahead and proceed, and I'll add the item right after announcement. Is there any objection?
I see no hands.
Okay, we'll go ahead and do that. Next is approval of the minutes of February 28, 2022. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
If you want to make the motion, please raise your hand. Bert von Stupnagel.
Thank you. And a second?
Frank Ailman.
Thank you, Frank. Any corrections or additions?
We have 3 hands still raised, 2 hands still raised. Bert, do you have a correction? No. Okay. I think we're good. Oh. You want to go ahead, Seth?
Okay, we're okay, and we're ready to vote.
Okay, I'm going to put the poll up right now. If you give me a second.
Okay.
At 15 seconds, 79% have voted. At 30 seconds, 89% have voted. At 45 seconds, it's still 89%. I think I'm going to go ahead and close it. 97% yes, 0% no, 3% abstain.
Okay, we'll go ahead and count the abstentions.
Okay, Clara, you have your hand up. Could you please put it down for a moment while I count the abstentions, and then I'll get back to you. Would those who abstained please raise your hands? Come on, don't be shy.
If you could read those out, Cecil, so I can record the abstentions.
Okay, the first abstention is David Bain. That's the only one we're getting, so. Okay, David, you could put your hand down now. Okay. Lois, I will take care of your questions in just a moment. Seth, I think we're good. Shall we go ahead?
Okay, the motion passes. The next is announced, and there will be a public hearing on degenderification of the Code of Ordinances and the town charter. There's a public hearing at 7:30 p.m. on Monday, March 28 in the auditorium. And then there'll be an online hearing at 7:30 p.m. Tuesday, March 29th. Anything else I should add, Frank Kemp?
Seth, I just want to add also that RTM members, you will see that testimony can also be submitted by sending an email address to darien@dariencT.gov, which is also on the website.
Well, there we go. Terrific. All right. That's it for announcements. The next item is to call for a motion. If someone would provide me with a motion to add the appointment of Ed Wysheka to the Blight Review Board of the Town of Darien.
Raise your hand, please, if you are Michael Casolo.
Thank you, Michael. Can I have a second, please?
Louisa Breckman.
Thank you. I want to thank Ed. He's away on vacation, but he did respond and say that he was willing to go on to the Blight Review Board, and we certainly want to thank him for volunteering to step up. Are there any comments?
Ann Reed.
Okay, ready to vote?
Wait,
Yes.
hold on. Ann Reed had her hand raised.
That was just 2 seconds. Sorry.
Oh, okay, fine. And
And thank you for that.
Barbara Thorne. Okay.
I would like to thank this young man for stepping forward for this tough job and to commend him for the work he's done on the RTM Education Committee. Thank you as leading.
Thank you, Barbara.
Yes.
Other comments?
Clara Sartori.
Sarah?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay, I don't see the poll. Is the poll supposed to be up now?
We're still discussing it.
Okay, so
I will.
even though I see something called manage polls, that I should ignore that.
Well, that's me working on managing the poll because
Oh,
we didn't have Ed's name until just now.
I see. Thank you.
So it may well appear as shall insert name, and please treat insert name as Ed Wysheka. Clara, you have your hand raised. I'm sorry.
I just put it down.
Yeah, right. Louisa Brackman, you have your hand raised? No? Okay.
Okay, we're ready to vote.
Wait. Ann Reed. Ann Reed.
No, my hand's not up, Cecil, unless I.
There you go. It's down now. Claire, can you put your hand down too now, please? Good. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to see what this poll looks like. So I can't see the poll. So if it says insert name, what that means is it's code for Ed Wysheka. At 30%, we have 83%, or 30 seconds, we have 84% voted. At 45 seconds, we have 89%, and it has stood steady at about 8 seconds, 9 seconds, 10 seconds. I'm going to go ahead and close this. Everybody see the results? It is unanimous, yes.
Wonderful. Oh, the item passes. I'll pass the word on to Ed, and with our thanks.
Yes.
Next item is 22-7. The approval of the appropriation of $6,430,414.32 of funds from the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021 is approved by the Finance and Budget Committee. Primary committee is the Finance and Budget Committee. Jack Davis, chairman. Jack?
Jack, raise your hand so I can find you in this long list. There you go.
I'm Jack Davis, District 3, Chair of the RTM Finance and Budget Committee. I move Resolution 22-7 regarding an appropriation of the American Rescue Plan Act funds, or the ARPA, in the amount of $6,430,414.32, a portion of which has been received by the town of Darien. Do I have a second?
Jenny Schwartz.
If there are no objections, I've waived the reading of the resolution. The American Rescue Plan Act was enacted by the 117th U.S. Congress effective March 11, 2021. There are several main areas of focus of this act: water and sewer treatment, broadband expansion, COVID-19 economic and health recovery, and loss of revenue to communities. The formula for loss of revenue was revised in January 2022 for communities receiving less than $10 million, expanding those initiatives that could now fall into that category. There are certain restrictions included in the Act. They are: ARPA funds cannot be used to pay unfunded pension liabilities, reduce debt, pay for litigation unless such litigation related to COVID-19, and funds cannot be used for tax rebates. There is reporting to the U.S. Treasury on fund initiatives. The first one is due April 30th, 2023. The U.S. Treasury reserves the rights to audit. All use of funds must be identified by December 31st, 2024, and spent by December 31st, 2026. Any unspent funds is to be returned to the Treasury. So that's the first part of the overview. The Board of Selectmen established an ARPA Funds Steering Advisory Committee on August 16, 2021. The committee had 7 members and was comprised of the first selectman, chair of the Board of Finance or their designee, another Board of Finance member, a member of the U.S. Darien Chamber of Commerce, an RTM F&D member, that being Martha Banks, and a member of the Darien Advisory Board of Health. No more than 5 of the 7 members were from the same political party. Also participating at the meetings were Town Administrator Kate Bush, Director of Finance Jen Chinesky, David Knopf, our Health Director, Ed Gentile, Public Works Director, and Ali Ramchek, Director of Human Services. The committee was broken into 3 main groups: infrastructure, COVID-related, and lost revenue. The committee met 7 times, counting the organization meeting. A list of 34 projects was selected with an assigned appropriation totaling $6,308,885 and $121,529.32 in contingency. This and what we're going to be doing is very similar to the capital appropriation resolution that we vote on during the budget process. While we vote on the total appropriation, each of the 34 projects have its own appropriation assigned. And I want to stress that point. The 34 projects are not a wish list. These are the projects. From a high level, there's $220,000 in health-related spending, $525,000 in COVID-related grants covering mental health support, food insecurity, emergency assistance, and other non-profits, which is very much in the spirit of the act. There's 3,753,000 in infrastructure, mostly sewer and drainage. And as I said in several meetings, sewer and drainage projects are not sexy. Nobody is putting a bumper sticker on their car saying, I support my sewers. But these projects are needed to be done. The remaining 1.8 million consists of investments of $1,021,000 in parks, $400,500 in our volunteer fire departments, $134,100 in our police department, and $255,285 in other town-related initiatives. Included in this other town initiatives is a project for $90,000 to create hybrid meeting capabilities in the auditorium, room 206, and a mobile unit. And this is consistent with the current House bill for remote meetings under FOIA, which require that all public meetings which allow public input have an option to do so remotely. And this has crossed the aisle support, and it's based upon the increase of public participation in meetings as these meetings have gone remote. One other note, included in the park, fire, police, and town-related initiatives previously mentioned are projects that are currently part of the Board of Selectmen proposed fiscal year 23 capital budget request. The total is $578,885 of the $1,810,885. Whereupon, once this resolution is approved, that total of 575 plus thousand will be removed from the fiscal year 23 tax calculation. One other quick note, this is town money. The Board of Ed had their own ARPA funds. As previously mentioned, all the projects have assigned appropriation. All of the initiatives will follow the town's standard processes. All ARPA funds will be in a separate reserve fund, and a note that the town has already received half of its allotment, with the remaining funding being received in June. All of these projects are required to have competitive bidding. If a project is expected to exceed its appropriation, the responsible department must submit a transfer request to the Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance. Funds could be transferred from the ARPA contingency account. RTM approval would be required if the excess is to be funded via a special general fund appropriation or by bonding. If a project is complete with a positive balance, the funds are returned to contingency in a similar manner to the biannual sweep of the Reserve Fund for Capital Non-Recurring Expenditures accounts. The proposed ARPA list includes $525,000 for support assistance for mental health, food insecurity, nonprofits, and emergency assistance. Some of the funds will be expended through the town's existing emergency assistance programs. The program is administered by Human Services Department. For the other support assistance categories, the town will utilize a grant application process to identify community need and select recipients. It is proposed that a committee comprised of staff and commission members and a member of the RTM will review the applications and make recommendations for award to the Board of Selectmen. The Board of Selectmen would then review the recommendations and make the final awards. If all the funds are committed and it appears that there will be excess funds, new initiatives could be developed at that time with approvals required through the same process of what we're doing now, the Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance, and the RTM for any new initiative. The Board of Selectmen approved the ARPA appropriations on February 28th, and the Board of Finance approved at the March 15th meeting. Public Works, Public Health and Safety, and Park and committees will now report on the individual projects within their discipline. I can report that the F&B committee voted unanimously to approve this resolution and recommends the same to the full RTM. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. For Park and Recreation, Adele Coniff, Chair.
Adele, raise your hand so I can find you.
Thank you. This is a report to the RTM on ARPA from the RTM Parks and Recreation Committee, March 21st, 2022. The RTM Parks and Recreation Committee met in a virtual go-to-meeting on March 14th, 2022 to discuss and take action on the Parks and Recreation portion of the proposed special appropriation of American Rescue Plan Act funds, ARPA. The review of proposed ARPA expenditures was thorough. We discussed the following items: McGuan Playground, $175,000, Baker Swings, $11,000, Cherry Lawn Playground, $500,000, Weed Beach New Paddle Court, $155,000, Baker Playground, $150,000, replace picnic tables in town, $10,000, replace park water fountains, $20,000. The pandemic brought into focus just how essential parks are to all of our well-being. Our playgrounds are very busy places. McGuan Playground was built in 2002, Baker in 2003, and the two Cherry Lawn Playgrounds in 2004. McGuan Playground replacement is in the fiscal year 23 Park and Rec capital improvements request. In the Park and Rec 6-year capital plan, the Cherry Lawn Playgrounds are scheduled to be replaced in fiscal year 24 and Baker in fiscal year 25. All of our playgrounds are ADA compliant with a minimum requirement of a loading deck. McGuan is our only fully wheelchair accessible playground with a rubber tiled surface that was replaced in 2008 and which needs to be replaced to avoid a safety issue. We hope to replace the surfaces in all 3 playgrounds with a poured-in-place surface, making them all ADA accessible. This surface costs $20 to $25,000, $20 to $25 per square foot, including demolition and installation, and saves on maintenance costs over time. We currently have manufactured wood chips at Baker and Cherry Lawn, which require regular spreading with an approximate $5,000 per year material cost. The Parks and Recreation Commission will choose new playscape for the playgrounds with the help of their playground working group, which will include residents from all town districts. The working group will meet with prospective playground companies, review different design offerings, and make recommendations to the commission. Estimates for these playground projects were developed for budgeting purposes in November 2021. Estimated useful life, 18 to 20 years. Baker Swings installation project is also in the Park and Rec fiscal year 23 capital improvement request. Baker Park currently has no swings. Thanks to construction of the new Oxridge Elementary School, which includes a new playground, Oxridge donated a 4-base swing set to the town. This request will pay for the necessary significant site work plus installation of the swings. The cost estimate is from a vendor. Estimated useful life is 20 years. Weed Beach Paddle Court construction is in the fiscal year 25 of the Park and Rec 6-year capital improvements plan. This additional court will provide much needed paddle court space. The use of the paddle courts at Weed Beach is at an all-time high. Times for the courts fill up quickly and people end up on waiting lists. Revenue for paddle tennis registrations in fiscal year 17-18 was $61,000, an increase to $112,000 in fiscal year 2021. The cost estimate is from the company that built our existing courts. Estimated useful life, 25 years. Many of our parks have existing wooden picnic tables that are aging. These funds will replace deteriorating tables with new tables, likely made from recycled materials. The Park and Rec Commission will choose the replacements. Estimated useful life, 15 years. Lastly, there are funds for replacing the water fountains at Cherry Lawn Park, Baker Park, Tilly Pond, and Pear Tree Beach. The water fountains are 30+ years old. Some do not work properly or consistently, and one has been removed, one at Pear Tree. Having reliable water fountains is important for proper hydration and encourages people to not bring plastic water bottles to the parks. Estimated useful life, 30 years. These are all worthy projects that have been vetted by the ARPA Committee, Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance, and the RTM Park and Rec Committee. With 14 of 16 members present, the RTM Park and Rec Committee voted unanimously in support of ARPA funding for these Park and Rec capital projects. We will all enjoy these improvements to our parks provided by ARPA funding, as well as benefit from the tax relief we will receive in fiscal year 23, 24, and 25. We encourage the RTM to support this allocation of ARPA funds. Adele Conniff.
Thank you very much, Adele. Next, from Public Health and Safety, Mac Patrick, Chair.
I'm Mac Patrick, Chair of the Public Health and Safety Committee, and we met on the night of March 16th in a special joint meeting with the Finance and Budget Committee, and Jack Davis did a great overview of that meeting, and he went over the background and whatnot. He also did, I thought, a very good job of explaining the dollar amounts of the various departments. I'll just touch on the highlights of the departments that are under the Public Health and Safety Committee. Starting with the Health Department, money's been allocated to replenish and have on hand all supplies to operate a point of dispensary during a health crisis. There's money also set aside for vaccination clinics and reimbursement for the future. In addition, the Health Department is really one of the last departments at Town Hall not to be able to accept credit cards currently. So there's money set aside to have that. In the Fire Commission, there are 4 projects that all tie into the fire tower. They want to replace the water main and hydrant replacement. They want to redo the catch basins. They want to do some extra paving of the drill tower, and they also want to add a classroom to the drill tower area. And the nice thing about that is they're hoping to be able to use one of the portable classrooms that will be removed from one of the elementary schools. Hopefully that, if that works, that will save money as well. In the various fire departments, the Darien Fire Department has requested an appropriation to acquire rescue jacks. These aren't just jacks that you might have in your automobile. These are jacks that can literally lift the locomotive. They're gigantic. And they're a great safety feature. The Rhoton Fire Department has an allocation to add a bunk room and a work room to their station. And what they found was during storms, along with COVID, people do want to work at the firehouse and be there before a snowstorm really sets in. So by having this there, it'll make things a lot easier. The Norotan Heights Fire Department, they've requested an appropriation for outside joint and mortar work on their outside walls are cracking, and that's something that can be taken care of. Moving to the police department, they have requested an appropriation for closed circuit television replacement. They have cameras on the outside for safety, and they also have cameras on the inside, and they're getting to the end of their useful life. These are in places like the retention area for prisoners. They really need to replace that. They also have requested an appropriation for a drone, and this isn't the kind of drone that I would buy on Amazon for a few $100s. This is a drone that actually has infrared capability. It can be used to help to search for people. We've had in the past people missing in town. This would be very helpful for that. Not only would the police use it, but then eventually the fire department will be able to use it, as well as possibly Jeremy Ginsburg and his department, for various zoning issues. So those are some of the things. I'm not going to touch on human services. Jack already really went over that well. But but we voted unanimously with 10 of 16 members present at this March 16th meeting to approve the ARPA funds. And we asked that the full RTM do the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Mac. Nice job. Appreciate it. Next is Public Works. Ralph Oben, Chair.
Thank you, Seth. My name is Rolf Oben from District 4, Public Works Committee Chair. On March 10th, the Public Works Committee held a meeting during which we reviewed and discussed the ARPA grant infrastructure projects list as approved by the Board of Selectmen and subsequently the Board of Finance. There is 5 infrastructure-related projects on the ARPA grant list for a total cost estimate of $3,753,000. I will read a summary description of each project. First project is for the Old Kings Highway South sewer pipe. The Arcadis estimate cost is $1 million. 3,500 linear feet of sewer pipeline and 18 manholes have been identified as having substantial defects, and without repair, there will be an eventual pipe collapse, causing sewer backup and overflow. The work to be done encompasses cured in pipe, place pipe lining, 18 manholes lined, 40 service connections lined, and the replacement of 15 manhole frames and covers. Second is Old Kings Highway South bridge repair. Estimated cost is $90,000. The bridge spans over Stony Brook and was recently inspected and rated in poor condition. The scope of work needed to bring the bridge up to fair condition encompasses patching concrete pavement, removing deteriorated concrete, on-frame underside and coating with epoxy, milling of asphalt, installing a waterproof membrane, and repaving. Without implementation of the repairs, further deterioration of the concrete slab will occur and may cause a bridge failure. Third is the Rings End Bridge repair. Estimated cost $163,000. The bridge spans over Gorham's Pond and was recently inspected and rated in poor condition. The scope of work needed to bring the bridge up to fair condition encompasses repointing the bridge abutments, wing walls, and piers, and replacement of riprap over exposed footings. Without implementation of the project, further removal of the soil caused by changing tides will increase the exposure of the footings and the soil behind the abutments, thus increasing the possibility of a bridge failure. Due to the unanswered questions surrounding the bridge lease, the Board of Finance has stipulated that this project is not to move forward until the lease agreement is clarified. Once Council has determined the town's legal lease obligations for the bridge, Public Town Works Supervisor Ed Gentile will confer with the Board of Finance to receive further instructions on how to proceed with the project. I've been advised that Council is near to having the town's lease obligation clearly defined and understood, so a determination on how to proceed may soon be concluded. Fourth is Grove Street Tilly Pond drainage upgrades. Estimated cost is $1 million. The downtown Grove Street Tilly Pond area was significantly impacted by the large storms that occurred in 2021. The project calls for correcting and upgrading storm drainage infrastructure with larger pipes and possibly rerouting storm drains. This project is subject to consultant provided facts and recommendations from the study approved by the RTM in the meeting of February 28th. Study results and recommendations are due in 4 to 6 months. Fifth is the salt box coach lamp drainage upgrades. Estimated cost is $1,500,000. The area suffered substantial flooding in 2021 and is currently being studied with results and recommendations inspected in May of this year. Upgrades to the storm drainage infrastructure with larger pipes or installation of more efficient inlet structures may provide a solution in the form of additional capacity and flood relief. Otherwise, this area will continue to flood, causing further damage to residential structures. These projects have been vetted by the Board of Selectmen ARPA Funds Steering Advisory Committee, which determined the viability of these projects under the ARPA funding rules and restrictions. Moving forward with these projects through the ARPA grant funding will relieve taxpayers from future bond expense and interest. The Public Works Committee has a total of 13 members, of which 10 were present at the March 10th meeting, and voted unanimously to approve the recommended ARPA infrastructure project list and recommends same to the full RTM. Thank you.
Thank you, Rolf. Are there any other committees of the RTM which wish to report?
If so, please raise your hand. I see no hands.
Okay, town officials?
I see no hands.
Members of the RTM?
Jim Cameron.
Yes, Jim.
Good evening, Seth. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
I just wanted to, well, first of all, thank those committees and their chairs for doing an extraordinary job at detailing exactly how their piece of the funding would be allocated. I think those reports indicate the level of attention that this issue has been receiving by the RTM, and to everyone's credit. I just wanted to personally add my endorsement for and gratitude for the money that will be spent to improve the AV system in the town hall auditorium, which means a great deal to potential coverage on TV 79 and other projects as well too. So I think everything has been very well allocated, and I would encourage everybody to vote in favor of this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. I'll join you in that support.
Lois Schneider.
Members of the, any members of the other members of the RTM?
Seth, you've got Lois Schneider.
I want to thank Jim for his comments, and I want to add, behind the scenes, Jack Davis and the F&B committee have done an amazing job identifying all these things, coordinating with the selectmen, the Board of Finance, and all of our committees. And I want to make sure I'm following Jim's lead, but make sure that Jack and his whole team all get recognized also. It was a lot of work for a lot of people. So thank you all very much.
Great. Thank you, Lois. Other members of the RTM?
Clara Sartori.
Clara.
I also want to thank all the committees that recently did the reports this evening. There are some folks who wonder about more public input into this process, and I wondered if someone could comment on whether during the committee meetings of the committees that reported tonight, did members of the public come and comment or make suggestions?
This is Jack Davis. Nobody came to our meeting. At the time that this has been approved again by the Board of Selectmen and then the Board of Finance and then ultimately us, these are the projects. And, you know, so we didn't have anyone come and comment. We had, you know, we were a little fortunate because Martha, who's on the F&B committee, did keep us abreast of what was going on throughout the process. But we didn't have anyone at the joint F&B and Public Health and Safety meeting. And Jim Palin, chair of the Board of Finance, and I attended the other two meetings, and being Park and Rec as well as the Public Works. And there was no public comment at either one of those meetings as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jack.
Clara.
Are any other members of the RTM?
I lowered my hand.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Is that okay?
Jim Cameron.
Jim again?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I could just take a quick second dip to answer the question about public involvement.
Right.
I think the record will indicate, and the videotapes are there, that Chairman Zagorodsky, who led the ARPA committee, held, I believe Jack said, 7 meetings, including an organizational meeting. And Chairman Zagorodsky is quoted as saying that at all those meetings, every time there was public comment on the agenda, there was nobody who spoke and offered any public comment. Just for the record, thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Any other members of the RTM?
Barbara Thorne.
Yes, Barbara.
You are self-muted, Barbara.
How we doing, Cecil?
Well, Barbara's still self-muted, and I'm sure she's having a bit of a problem. Oh, there she is. She's here. Hi,
Barbara.
What I want to observe, longtime follower of this process, that I have always felt welcomed whenever a meeting was posted that required or invited public comment. And I think we've been very good at following it, particularly when we've been able to record our meetings and again, respond to them as we should see fit. That's certainly the case with the Board of Education meetings, but it also is the rest of these meetings as well. And I want to thank the people that have recorded them and posted them and allowed us to review them. And should we have a comment, figure out who to respond to. So thank you all for all you have done. It's a good, we do a good job here. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara.
Seth, we have a question.
Yeah.
From Priscilla Wong. Didn't we approve $11,000 for the Bakerfield backstop at the last RTM meeting with funds from a different area?
This is Jack Davis. I will answer that. Yes. We approved $11,000 for a backstop at Bakersfield. Just so happens that the $11,000 is the same amount at Bakersfield, but it is not for the backstop. It is for installing swings that have been donated to the town from the Board of Ed. It is, the cost seems high, but what it really is $5,000 to install the swings and $6,000 to prepare the area for where the swings are going to be going. There's some roots and other things that need to be taken out. And so that's why that cost is. Happens to be the same amount for Bakersfield, but a different project.
Thank you, Jack.
We have a hand raised from Carolina McGoey.
Hi, thank you. I was just going to say that I wish we had had some kind of public outreach to maybe survey the town constituents to see what they thought about the ARPA funds and what kind of priorities they wanted. I know we saw some comments about doing bonuses for teachers, but that was not taken into consideration. So I wish, even though there was some public comments in the meetings, I wish there had been either a public hearing or more outreach to our constituents to go through this process. Thank you.
I want to reiterate something that I said in the meeting, and I know that the report had a lot of information. This is town funds. Rewarding teachers would not be coming from town funds. It would be coming from the ARPA funds that the Board of Ed received. They were different funds. So, and they use it, they don't have to go through the RTM approval process since they get a total appropriation. So, you know, so I just want to say that public input was requested, but I think that these funds had certain restrictions on them, and that in my review of these projects, they're being used to best accommodate what the needs of the town are and are consistent, even though we might scratch our heads a little bit on some of them. It was based upon the change in the loss of income that allowed us to make certain investments that we would have paid otherwise through our taxes. And part of the way that some of these projects were done was that they looked at the capital plan, the 6-year capital plan that the town does. And they expedited some of those projects that we knew we were going to be doing and moved it there. The investment in parks, even though ARPA said it should be in distressed census tracts and Darien doesn't quite qualify for that, our parks had tremendous use during the COVID last 2 years of COVID, and making an investment in that is consistent with some of the thoughts of the U.S. Congress in that investment. So I think that for the most part, these are in line with what the legislation was advising.
Thank you, Jack.
Seth, we have comments from Martha Banks, followed by Carolina McGoey, followed by Jacqueline Miller. Martha?
Yes, I just wanted to say that the ARPA committee had a member of the Darien Chamber of Commerce, and he did survey business owners as to the impact of COVID on them. And basically, his conclusion was that everybody was able to successfully avail themselves of the loans that were made available to business owners, and that they were in fact doing quite well now. So there was a decision made that no funds needed to be allocated to business in town. And as far as employees on the town side, the town administrator said that many people had been given compensatory time off over the period, and that the labor contract reflected, I guess, recognition of the services they had provided. So she felt that, no bonus pay was necessary.
Thank you. Thank you, Martha. Okay, next. Cecil?
Carolina?
What I'm saying, I mean, and I don't want to get into a discussion about this, but I understand there's other towns that use town money to approve bonuses for employees that were deemed, what's the word? I'm sorry, I'm drawing blank.
Carolina, this is not the subject of this.
I understand, Seth, and what I just wished is that there had been more outreach to the public. That's it.
Thank you. Okay, Cecil?
Jacqueline Miller?
Jacqueline?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Jackie Miller. I'm on the Public Works Committee, and I'm proud of the work that we did there looking at the ARPA list. But I did want to echo Carolina's comment that it seems like New Canaan paid for teacher bonuses out of the general fund.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, I got to stop. That's out of order. We are not talking about education here. We're talking about the rescue plan and how it applies to the expenditures of the town, not the Board of Ed.
I understand that, but I'm new to this. I have been on the RTM for less than a year. My reading of the news from New Canaan was that it did come from town funds. So if that's out of order, I apologize. I thought you said that it was not possible to pay the bonuses out of the town fund. I don't have an opinion on teacher bonuses one way or the other. I am proud of the ARPA list as it is. I'm just questioning whether your comments were accurate.
In either case, discussion of teacher salaries is not on the table here.
Seth, we have a request to call the question.
Okay, are there any others here who wish to speak who haven't spoken?
No hands.
Seeing no hands, I'll go ahead and we'll proceed to vote.
At 30 seconds, 85% have voted. At 45%, 89% have voted. I believe that we can close this.
All right.
97% yes, 3% no, 0% abstain.
Okay. Can we get poll the no votes, please?
Yes, those of you who voted no, please raise your hand. We have Carolina McGoey, Nicholas Branca. Is there anyone else? I don't see any further hands.
Okay. Did you say there were abstentions, Cecil?
There were no abstentions.
No abstentions. Okay. Then the motion passes. And I thank all the committees here for their reports. This is a lot of money on this item. And I think it was really, I think you did a great job. It was well done. And I think we have a pretty good picture of where all the money is going. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Does somebody need to move that?
Yes, would be good.
Okay, lots and lots of hands up for that. Let's go with Barry Baldwin.
Thank you, Barry. And a second, please.
Let's go with Dan Guller.
And let's go ahead and vote.
Okay, give me a second. I need to select this. Come on. Wow, that's interesting. Here we go.
Nice job, Cecil.
Oh, thank you so much, Seth. At 15 seconds, we have 82%, 85% voted. At 21 seconds, we have 89, 92% voted. And it is 100% yes.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you all.
I believe the webinar is ended.
Thank you, Cecil, for all your work.
Oh,
have a great evening.
Not a problem. You have a great evening too. off on vacation, I think. Comma. She scheduled me a while back.
Yeah, Kate's out for the entire week.
Oh yeah, Kate's out for the entire week. I'm going to now close the meeting. If anybody has anything left.
Thanks, Cecil. You did a nice job
Well,
tonight.
thank you so much, Jack. Be well, all.
You too.